I almost forgot it's time for me to make my YouTube video. It's a Gail commandment. I've actually, when I made the music album last week, I was listening to it and I loved it so much that I decided to make another hour's worth of music. What I did was I rewrote a lot of the lyrics that Zach wrote. And then I have two songs where I wrote the lyrics completely myself. And I've been using Suno AI to make the music. So I listened to the music to get in the zone for the Gail series. What I did was I looked through the list of all the stories that I plan on writing for the Gail series. And I wanted to make sure that I had some songs for all of the major events. And I pretty much got it all covered now. 2 hours worth of music, about two different versions of the lyrics. The one song has three different versions, and they're all at my BitChute and Odyssey, so you can just check the links underneath this video. 2026 is going to be a lot tighter for me financially than my previous years here. And I'm sticking to a strict budget. I only shop at Walmart and Kroger. And I only go to like Publix or Whole Foods just to get specific items. I was able to make my homemade vegetable pizza, which used a Whole Foods pizza crust that I make from the dough. I'm going to allow, if I just go to Whole Foods just to get like just the dough and stuff that I can only get there and then go elsewhere to get everything else, I can still stay within budget. So my goal is to only spend about $18 a day for everything. That includes food, toothpaste, all the stuff that you normally get. And, and that way I should stay within budget. I can do that if I only shop at Walmart and Kroger, and I have to quit doing things like buying Lactaid milk when I don't need it, and I just buy regular milk, and I'm getting frozen strawberries and, buying the cheaper fruits. And then, I no longer buy apples in the bin because they're more expensive. That way I'll get the 3-pound bag. And if Kroger's out, then I will go to Walmart. And I take the bus. And I have no car. So, and I shop every day because I have to get my food, without a car. When I lived in Florida, the way I managed on only food stamps income was I only shopped about once every 5 weeks, and I bought a big, huge bunch of groceries and lived off of non-fat dry milk and frozen strawberries. Yeah. And then I think I would only go back to to Walmart. There was a Walmart neighborhood market near me. I would only go back maybe once every couple weeks, maybe to pick up some fresh oranges that I could add to my fruit salad and stuff. Yeah, but I basically did my major shopping every 5 weeks. Yeah. And lived off of frozen strawberries, basically. And stuff like canned pineapples and things like that. And Granny Smith apples. Yeah. And I'd put them all together, and I still do that. So that's a cheap way to get some fruit. Now that I'm here in an area where I need to shop every day because I don't have a car, I've taken a real liking to fresh produce. And it's probably really healthy for me too, but it can get expensive. So I have to look for bargains. Collard greens are pretty cheap around here, so I bought a big bag of collard greens at Walmart, and I made a delicious recipe. You can see it at my cooking channel. So I figured because the price of meat and beef has gone up, I'm only going to be getting that at Walmart, and probably mostly ground beef. But I am managing. Yeah. So I'm having to spend more time cooking to make up for the fact that, you know, that I have less income than I did in 2025. Yeah, I've lost some Medicare benefits. I don't have any over-the-counter Medicare benefits. So that helped me quite a bit. I've lost my food stamps pretty much. They don't think I need it because I've got such cheap housing. So, so yeah, that means I have to be a smart shopper. And, yeah, I'll have to do like I did in Florida. Because of my excellent cooking abilities, I know how to make cheap food delicious, right? Yeah, I'll be okay. Yeah. Um, anyways, I've been listening to 2 hours worth. My favorite music to listen to right now is my own music that I created with Suno AI. Oh, it's all about my life. And the track that I made about my mother, I cry every time I listen to it. I really nailed it on that one. I really nailed it. My mother transitioned to heaven in October 2022. And she actually didn't die. It was almost kind of like a rapture. Though I'm not sure that my sister is aware of that. And I'm hoping that the song that I made to honor my mother's transition will help my sister to have peace about my mother's passing, because I don't think she's ever found peace about it. Yeah, I sense that there's a lot of anger in my sister's life. She's very angry at me because when I was a young lady, I was a self-righteous prude, right? And I guess she thinks that because I was like that, that I didn't deserve to have a marriage list of all these hot guys, who'd be willing to die for me and everything. And we hadn't really been that close over the years. Even when I was a teenager, she went her way, I went mine. We lived under the same roof, but we never talked to each other. And when I became a born-again Christian on September the 19th, 1971, I kind of looked down on her because she was the pot-smoking hippie in my family, And I think she picked up on my attitude and formed a lot of resentments against me. I was self-righteous when I was in my 20s. I'll admit it. She apparently doesn't understand that I realized that that was wrong of me to be like that, and that I've grown, and that I have some humility now. And she still sees me as who I was in my 20s, and she's got a lot of anger against me. And I think she's even angry at God, because she just thinks it's not fair that I got all these hot men and she didn't, Yeah. It's sad, actually. Even though she's done a lot of bad things to me, I have forgiven her in my heart, and I'm hoping that she can move on. I hope she will listen to the song that I made about our mother's passing, and that the power of that music can help her to find peace. Yeah. Yeah, she's become very overweight, really, really overweight, and it's not good for her. And she injured herself pretty bad too because of that, from what I understand. Anyways, yeah, I feel really good. I don't hold grudges against people. Life is too short to hold grudges. That doesn't mean that I won't execute a murderer, okay, or somebody who's dangerous, because we obviously need to protect the innocent. But if I do so, I do it out of necessity. I don't enjoy taking a dangerous criminal out. But I will do it in order to spare innocent life. Yeah, like that person that nasty Jesuit juvenile delinquent who injured my knee. The knee is still swollen. I mean, the whole leg is. My husband, Brent, is doing an excellent job. But as I stated in November, it wasn't an accident, it was an attack. The attack happened on November 20th. I stated back then correctly that it would probably take 6 months to completely heal from the injury. Yeah, here it is almost a month and a half later, and I can still, I've got the Band-Aids off and everything, but I can still feel numbness in the leg. I do believe some of that is my husband's treatment. My husband is a brilliant doctor, and he's doing his medical treatment, I think, does cause my leg to feel a little bit numb. I think he's rebuilding tissue and bone and stuff because it was a bad injury. But I can feel the scar tissue in the knee area, but it is healing. And I did not have to, at that time, I did not want to go see an automaton doctor. Thank God, because of the Gales that showed up on Christmas Eve day. We are no longer dealing with the automatons. And we got all the doctors back. It's as if all those murders in 2022 never happened. That was right before my mother transitioned too. So I'm really happy about that. And as a result of the automatons not being there, that's why I feel a little bit more comfortable about using AI technology to make my music tracks to help me get in the zone. I'm absolutely amazed at the quality of what I've been able to turn out. I am actually, allergies or something in the air. I'm actually very picky about my music. I'm like a music connoisseur. I have a piano, I'm a real music lover. Oh man, they don't want me making this video. And when I was young, I majored in community health education at Florida State University. And I was actually in a Bachelor of Science nursing program, and then I found out that I'm not nursing material, and I switched my major my junior year to get the quickest degree I could get so I could get out so I could go off to Bible college, which was my dream back then. And so my senior year at Florida State University, I had room to take electives because a lot of the credits for the BSN nursing program transferred over to the community health education major. And so I decided, just for fun, I would take a year of music theory. That was a very interesting experience. I was a grades-obsessed college student. I got in the mentality to always make the dean's list. They called it the dean's list back then, every quarter, because that's how I got accepted into the FSU nursing school, I had to keep my GPA up there. But I thought, I get to take stuff that really interests me. I would love to study music. I thought, this would probably be a lot easier than those hard nursing school classes. Oh man, was I surprised how hard that class was. I thought I was going to flunk my first quarter of music theory. My professor was a graduate of Juilliard, okay? And I was telling everybody every day, I'm going to make an F in this class. It's so hard. It's so hard. Honest to God, I don't know how I did it. I must have aced the final exam. I think we only had like midterms and a final. But I made an A in the class, the first quarter. And I thought, I said, I still want to study music theory, but I don't want to be under so much pressure. So I said, I don't want it to ruin my GPA because I have a chance of graduating with honors. So I took it SU, pass fail. But I did take a whole year of theory. Yeah, as an elective. It wasn't my major. It was an elective. All the music majors looked at me like, you're crazy. This is like one of the hardest classes in our major, and you took it as an elective? That shows you how much I love music. Okay? Yeah. My favorite part of music theory was going into the laboratory putting on the headphones, and we were required to listen to all these classical music pieces, and I was in heaven like, oh, I love this. And then we'd be tested about which movement we'd listen to, So they'd give us a test, and like he'd play parts, and we'd have to identify movements and intervals and all this stuff. And, oh, yeah. It was a hard class, though. Yeah. It was a really hard class. You have to understand this. Back then, now I'm not sure about now, but back in 1978 and 79, when I took music theory, Florida State University was ranked number 3 in the whole country as a music school. Number 3! I was told back then that the only schools that were ahead of us were Juilliard and Eastman School of Music. And believe me, it was a hard class. I told all the music majors there, I said, I have a new respect for music majors after taking this class. I said, this is almost as hard as nursing school. Yeah. And then when I went off to Bible college, you might say, oh, if you did that, you could compose. Yeah, but I never took the classes that you need to learn musical composition, like harmony. I wasn't a music major. I took it as an elective, all right? And I only got SU credit for the second and third quarters, but I did take a whole year of theory, music theory. You say, why did you do that? The reason I did that is because I remember when I was at Miami Palmetto Senior High, where I went to high school, which, by the way, is where Jeff Bezos went to high school. Yeah. He graduated after me. I graduated in 75. I think he graduated about 10 years after me. Yeah, the Amazon CEO went to my high school. Yeah. Yeah. He thinks that's really cool. Jeff Bezos knows me. Because he knows me because I went to his high school, right? So, yeah, he was the valedictorian when he graduated. I really didn't do so good when I was at Palmetto. Yeah, I'm not going to go there right now, but the thing is, though, is when I was in the Miami Palmetto concert chorus. And I remember our teacher, who was Richard Bullman, he was very demanding. And honest to God, when I was a young lady, I had a velvet voice. Seriously. I was good. And I remember when I sang in the concert chorus, they used to joke and say, because honest to God, I could have been an opera singer. That's how good I was. Seriously. They used to joke and say, if only she was as good at theory as she is at singing. Because I would hit the wrong notes or I wouldn't read my music right, So I decided to make up for that by taking music theory. And they would always joke with me saying, if only she could read music, That's one of the reasons I took it, because I knew that when I got into the Christian ministry, I was hoping I could learn how to play piano or something. You say, well, when did you learn how to play piano? Okay, that happened later. After I took the music theory, okay, then I went off to Baptist University of America, which, by the way, one of my classmates was Larry the Cable Guy. Would you believe it? He used to get up on the stage. This was like a school in a suburb of Atlanta. They're no longer in existence. The Jesuits took him out of existence just because I went there, okay? And do his skits. He was hilarious. I remember him. Yeah. I went to school with Larry the Cable Guy. He was called Dan Whitney. That was his real name. Yeah. But when I was there, I took private piano with Dorothy Jaquot, a really sweet professor, a graduate of Bob Jones University. She was a music major. And because I took theory, it helped me to learn piano well. I took private piano and hymn playing. And that's where I learned how to play the piano. I'm not very good, but I wanted to learn how to play the piano. That actually turned out to be a blessing to me because when the Jesuits gave me their Candida auris yeast infection, it destroyed my voice. Yeah, honest to God. And I was heartbroken about that. So by the time, when I was in my 20s, I had a velvet voice, seriously. My voice was so good that every time I joined a church, if there were any choir directors there, they would beg me to sing solos. I'm serious. I was really, really good. Yeah. I mean, I could have been like what they call like a Luciani Pavarotti, what do they call those really famous singers? I was as good as anybody out there. Really, really good. Yeah. It was really heartbreaking to me when I lost my velvet voice. I was a mezzo-soprano, but my range was incredible. I could go all the way up to the high C above high C, down to the E below middle C. Yeah, easily. Yeah. Yeah. Now, with my voice damaged, I'm almost in the male tenor voice range, and I don't sing as good as I did when I was younger. Believe me. Yeah. But I've always been a creative person, and you say, why don't you just go into full musical composition? I'm a writer. I'm working on the Gail Series, and I don't have time to do musical composition. Though I got to admit, Suno AI, if you give them brilliant lyrics, they can turn out some pretty respectable music. You just have to tell them exactly what emotional vibe you want the song to have, and I've been thrilled. Like I said, I'm really, really picky about what I listen to. Really, really picky. Yeah. I get bored really easy with music. Really easy. It's like, oh, I've heard this before. It's not that exciting. Let's go on to something else. And then when I was growing up, I loved the Lerner and Loewe musicals and Rodgers and Hammerstein. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not too impressed with a lot of the music coming out today. It seems to lack originality and feeling. Yeah. I mean, where's the Rodgers and Hammersteins of today, and the Lerner and Loewe, or even the Stephen Sondheims, right? And as a result of that, you say, what do you think about Brent's music? Well, that's why I fell in love with him. He won me through his old Yellow Eyes is Back. I listened to him singing and I was floored. I said, I can tell he's singing to me. That voice that I'm hearing on my phone that I heard in the 1990s, I thought, that's the same identical voice, the guy who's been making love to me on the telephone. He said, I want to rape you. But the way he said it wasn't vulgar. I mean, I hung up on him at first, right? But I fell in love with him but when Melody Rondeau, who was a fellow Brent Spiner fan at the time, this was 1991. I wasn't even planning on buying his music album. I just wrongly assumed that it would be crap. Like I tell you, I'm really picky about what I like, okay? So I just wrongly assumed that it would probably be crappy music, probably rock and roll. I used to think rock and roll was sinful, okay? So I wasn't planning on getting it, but Melody Rondeau sent me a cassette tape of Old Yellow Eyes is Back, and I just casually plopped it into this tape player. My husband was home, and I listened to it. I thought, oh my God, that Brent is good. And I thought, wait a minute. I said, oh, do I have to have it on now? My husband's listening. You can tell, I have all that in the Gail series. I covered this. I was floored. I wrote Brent the next day and I said, I adore you. I can tell you're the one who's been calling me on the phone. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm married, but I can't. But that's what I'm telling you. You know what I did? Okay, so I got the music album. I think it was June 26, 1991. Melody mailed me Brent's Old Yellow Eyes is Back. Obviously, because my husband started figuring out that there was something going on between me and Brent, and he started causing problems. He was a jerk, okay? He wouldn't even allow me to be Brent's friend. So, yeah, he was a Jesuit agent and a pedophile to boot. I listened to Brent's Old Yellow Eyes Is Back. I would sneak it into the car and put it in the car's cassette player every chance I got. From June 1991 till June 1996. And it got me in the zone to write my novel, Silver Skies. And because Brent made me that music album, I said, I want to develop my creative talent. And my singing voice is shot, and my piano playing isn't good enough. And besides, I didn't have money to go back to college. And then I thought, you know what? I found out that there was an Institute of Children's Literature where I could study to be a children's writer. And I thought maybe from there I can bounce off and become a writer. So, and my teacher happened to be Jim Murphy, who was an award-winning children's author. And he got me started as a writer. And then I wrote Law, which I think would have been a very good Star Trek episode. Yeah, it was rejected not because of the bad writing quality. It's because there were Jesuits on the writing team. Brandon Braga at the time was a Jesuit agent, okay? That's the real reason it was rejected. They didn't want the great niece of Howard Hughes, myself, to ever come to any sort of prominence. So, yeah. Yeah, but you know, I am a creative soul. So, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm very, very picky about my music. Very picky. I personally think most music coming out today is crap. That's how picky I am, okay? You say, what kind of music do you like? When I was growing up, I loved Rodgers and Hammerstein. I thought Stephen Sondheim turned out some good stuff. I liked Lerner and Lowe. I would say most of what I like is 1980s back, okay? 1980s back. I like a lot of orchestra pieces. Like, I think the soundtrack for Out of Africa is awesome. Apparently, the Academy Award Committee agrees with me because they won an Oscar for it. I think the soundtrack for the movie Dances with Wolves, especially when the Dunbar character is climbing up the mountain with his Indian wife, is fantastic, okay? But I haven't been too impressed with most of the recent music around here. And I'm feeling the deficiency. So I thought, and then something happened, it was about 2 weeks ago. That's when I found out that I'm going to be a goddess. And I thought, wow, I wonder if there's, and then I remember that somebody believes that the goddess soul used to be human and she became a goddess. So I decided to see if there was any music dedicated to her. And I thought maybe I can just listen to it for inspiration. And I found a track dedicated to the goddess soul. And I thought, this is really good. Like I told you, I'm really, really picky. I thought, this is some of the best music I've ever heard. I found out it was created with AI. I thought, what? I thought, how did they do this? This is some of the best music I've ever heard. So I decided, I thought, maybe I can experiment with AI. So I actually looked at the YouTube channel where they made the Goddess Soul music and figured out which AI they went to. And I figured out that they went to a thing called Murica AI. And I thought, I tried Murica and it didn't work out too good for me. So I thought, let's try Suno. And I thought, there's only one problem. I'm going to need lyrics. And I thought, I'm not a very good poet. And so but then I remembered my friend Zach Knight wrote a bunch of poetry for me about my life. I thought, this is perfect. This would be great Goddess Gail music. So I decided to just put his lyrics in there. The poetry and lyrics are almost the same thing. And I said, now, what kind of music would work good with this? And I kind of played around with it, and I thought, wow, I really like this. This is good music. I said, I can't believe AI can make such good music. And that's what got me started. And I thought, as picky as I am, yeah. And finally I used up all of Zach's lyrics that I thought I could do would work good with a song. And then he had some others that I didn't quite like, so I went in there and tweaked them, okay? And so now I had made a song out of every single one of Zach's poems. And I've actually asked Zach to write more poems. He hasn't been answering. I think he's really busy. Finally, I thought, Gail, why don't you try writing lyrics? I thought, oh boy. My first attempt was garbage. I mean, I gave me a really new respect for lyricists, okay? So, but then I started getting the hang of it. And I wrote one completely myself. And that became a song about Angelina Ballerina. And then I thought, okay, you're done now, Gail. Yeah, you better give up on this lyrics business because you're no good. And then I heard Unchained Melody from Ghost's 1990, the orchestral version. I thought, oh, that is some of the most beautiful music. It's so hauntingly beautiful. It says it reminds me of something. It's like something in my life is resonating here. And I tried to use it with the Angelina Ballerina lyrics, and it just wouldn't work. I mean, Angelina Ballerina is not compatible with music like that, okay? Nor is Zach Knight in Rule 13, so I had to use a different track for that one, which I liked, by the way. Kind of like battle music. Finally, I listened to it, I thought, isn't there anything in your life that would resonate with this beautiful, haunting music? And I thought, think about what the theme of the movie was. A woman finds her long-lost lover, and he comes back to her. And I thought, aha, my mother, when she transitioned and got to be with her dead husband, Bill. I mean, that's it. So what I did was I looked up the lyrics for Unchained Melody and wrote and copied and pasted them. And then I thought, okay, let's try your hand at being a lyricist. Look at the flow here, and now do something that imitates the first line of Unchained Melody. And I said, do something that imitates the second line. Make sure this kind of has like a rhyme to it. And that's how I created a song about my mother's passing. When I was done, I literally bawled my eyes out. I nailed it. I mean, okay, so I put the lyrics into Suno AI, and I played around with different themes. And I said, what style of music is Unchained Melody from Ghost 1990? And they said it's kind of like a love ballad. So I told Suno AI a love ballad, melancholy, soulful, orchestral, start off melancholic, and sort of ethereal, celestial. I played around with different versions, and then finally they turned out something that made me bawl my eyes out. I thought, this is it. I thought, this is some of the best music I've ever heard. I can't even listen to it without crying. You have to have good lyrics, though, when you go into Suno AI. It's like they can pick up what the lyrics theme is. But if the lyrics are no good, it doesn't work. So if you have good lyrics, it works. And I nailed it with the lyrics. Well, I've been thinking a lot about my mother's transition. And that's how I've had peace about her passing. I didn't go to her funeral. I requested my men, because I didn't want to deal with my sister, I requested my men have her buried at Arlington National Cemetery, and apparently that's exactly what happened. But I had peace about her passing because she didn't really die. She was transitioned. And I thought, you know what? This is an important part of my life story. and you need to make a song about this to help you get in the zone to write the Gail series. So yeah, that's the last song that I composed, that I wrote the lyrics for, and I let Suno AI help with the music composition. Basically, my goal in creating this music is I'm hoping that they can use it for the Gail series when Steven Spielberg and the production team makes it into a television series. Because as you all know, about a year ago, it was a ratings flop. Basically, I just gave them a sloppy first draft, and it was horrible because that's what it was, okay? And I thought I was done. And I'll admit that when I first worked on the Gail series, I was doing it out of duty, which never works for me. I'm going to turn out crap when I'm doing it out of duty because Jesus told me to do it. And then I'm starting to see the wisdom. I'm starting now. Once my website went down, it became a passion with me. Yeah. Which is ironic because it was right about that time that we had a rating of -666. But yeah, I figured out what I did wrong. I'm the type of a writer, I have to brainstorm first and then I get down to writing, okay? And basically what the production team got was brainstorming, and it was very confusing to them. And they didn't know how to make a beginning, middle, or end, or do any of the stuff that a screenwriter has to do. But I'm past the brainstorming now, and now I'm telling the stories in chronological order. And I've been happy with the work that I've done thus far. And I think I've also come up with some very good music that they can use for the Gail series. Yeah, you can hear it all. Go to BitChute and Odyssey, and you can see all the tracks that I made. Personal opinion, I think this music that I've been making is some of the best music I have ever heard. And I am picky. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't have anybody today that's like a Stephen Sondheim or Rodgers and Hammerstein or Lerner and Lowe. It's all crap to me. I kind of feel that way about writing too. It's like there's nothing coming out that's really original and that is really heartfelt. It's all like boring clones of what's already been out there. And as I listen to the music that I've been creating, it gets me in the zone to write. I'm almost done with my, I'm doing the Quebec trial for 2011. It's going to take me a long time to write the Gail series, but I'm going to turn out quality now. That's how I wrote Silver Skies. I was listening to Brent Spiner's Old Yellow Eyes Is Back every day, and it got me in the zone to write Silver Skies. And to be honest with you, when I wrote it, I didn't do it for money, which is always when I do my best work, okay? And it was a passion for me. And I was just writing what was in my heart. At the time, I was a married woman, and I felt trapped because I felt like Brent was my soulmate, and I couldn't be with him. And so Silver Skies was kind of about that. Yeah. I was also hoping that I could use it to launch a writing career so that I could break away, and if something happened to my marriage, I could go be with Brent and not worry about being on the streets. So I could date him, you know. And I was hoping maybe he could act, and that maybe in a blue, you know, maybe Hollywood would make a movie out of it. I wasn't sure if that would ever happen, you know, but I thought, if not, as long as I like it, I'm happy. To my amazement, okay, and then when I found out about Laurie McBride in 1996, I got writer's block and I quit working on it, but I had actually just finished it. It was perfect timing. I didn't realize it at the time. Because that was when my characters finally got together. It was at that point about 160,000 words. But I put the novel aside and never worked on it again because I felt like Brent didn't deserve my masterpiece for him. When I found out about Laurie McBride, not understanding she was a Jesuit agent and that he was extorted into a relationship with her. To my amazement, in 2003, I believe it was, when Vladimir Putin was in my life, I just gave the manuscript to Vladimir, said, just you can do whatever you want with this, and if Hollywood wants to make a movie out of it, that's fine. And Vladimir told me brain to brain that Steven Spielberg optioned it and was going to make a movie out of it. I thought, oh, really? He said, yeah. And he said they've cast Matthew McConaughey as the lead. And that's how Matthew got into my life. It's a little bit more complicated than that. I'll be going into all this in the Gail series. But the point is, when I get in the zone, I turn out really good work. Yeah. Yeah. And now I have made 2 hours worth of glorious music that will help me get in the zone for the Gail series. And hopefully I have added to the repertoire of great music again. I was joking with Zach Knight. I said, Zach, give me some more lyrics because you and I, we're the new Rodgers and Hammerstein and Lerner and Lowe or maybe Stephen Sondheim. Not quite, because I'm not actually doing composition, okay? Though I think the lyrics are pretty respectable. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this AI. Yeah. I've been listening to this. I just feel like I'm in heaven listening to this music. Let me tell you what I was like when I was a teenager and when I was young in my early 20s. I worked at a parking garage in Miami, okay? And one thing I liked about my job, this was in between years at Bible college. I was earning money for Bible college, okay? And I worked as this cashier at a parking garage, which gave me the opportunity to put a cassette tape. This was 1984, 1985. No, 1982. I put a cassette tape there while I was taking everybody's money and I would listen to that music all day. You know what kind of music it was? It was Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Lowe. I would listen to that. And I'd hear Some Enchanted Evening. And then I'd hear Oklahoma. Or I'd hear When You Walk Through Us. They don't make music like that anymore. But I just did it. I just made music like that. Or some of Stephen Sondheim's, or even that beautiful orchestra pieces. They just don't make music like that anymore. You might say, well, you got some rap and stuff. There is some good rap, okay? There's some good rap. But it has to be lyrics that are suited for rap. Not all lyrics are suited for rap. So what I do is I listen to the lyrics, then I say, what style of music is this suited for? If it's rap, I'll give it rap. If it's rock and roll, I'll give it rock and roll. If it's metal, hard metal, I'll give it that. Most of my pieces end up being orchestral because we're going into some pretty deep emotions. But I am loving hearing this music. Honest to God. I feel so good. I feel like I've added to the repertoire of great music. And that means more to me than any money I could make from it. And that's what I'm hoping I can do with the Gail series too. That I can add to the repertoire of great literature. Though it's going to be in the form of memoir. It's true. Okay? Yeah. I am a creative soul. Anyways, you guys, I owed you all a YouTube video. Enjoy my masterpieces. Oh, I've been in heaven listening to my music. You might say, yeah, I'm really, really picky. If I like it, it has to be good. When I say good, I mean, AI messed up a little bit. Like they'll pronounce Brent Spiner's name as Brent Spinner, but hey, I get it. I don't care. If I'm hearing the swells and the lyrics are working, I'm in heaven. Yeah, it'll work for me. Anyways, you guys, I think the music that I have been making the past couple weeks is some of the best music I've ever heard. I think I am on par with Stephen Sondheim, Rodgers and Hammerstein, and Lerner and Lowe, and all the greats. And I did it with AI. And it all started by listening to a piece about the goddess soul, which I thought was fantastic. Like I told you, I am really, really picky. Anyways, you all have a great day, huh? And check out the links underneath this video.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart's pure and strong. With the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah! She's a force, a passionate crusader. Stand by the side, you'll conquer it all. Through space battles and trials.